The city of Harrowgate had always carried shadows. They clung to its alleys like a second skin, whispering of bloodlines broken, promises shattered, and debts never repaid. To walk its streets was to feel history pressing down on you. Every cobblestone was soaked in stories of betrayal. For some, the city was home. For others, it was a cage. Marcus Vale belonged to the latter. He had grown up in the districts where survival was measured in favors owed and knuckles bruised. His father had been a low-level enforcer for the Montclair crime family, and his mother a ghost who had left when Marcus was barely old enough to remember her. His life had been carved out of violence, but Marcus had fought hard to build something different and escape, a semblance of control. He studied law, became a defense attorney, and swore to himself that he would never return to the rot that had swallowed his father whole. But Harrowgate never let go of its own. The fall came swiftly. A single case, one that should have cemented Marcus' reputation, instead dragged him into the abyss. His client, Adrian Cross, a wealthy developer with ties to the underworld, was accused of laundering money through the Montclair syndicate. Marcus defended him, unaware that the trial was nothing more than theater. Adrian walked free, the evidence against him conveniently lost. Weeks later, Marcus discovered that the Montclairs had orchestrated everything. His name, once respected, became synonymous with corruption. His law firm cut ties. His career evaporated. And then the final blow: his younger sister, Evelyn, was found dead. The police claimed it was an overdose. Marcus knew better. Evelyn had been outspoken about the Montclairs, gathering information, threatening to expose them. Her death wasn't a mistake. It was a warning. That night, something inside Marcus broke. He had sworn never to follow his father's path, never to bow to the rot of Harrowgate's underworld. But grief burned hotter than promises. Marcus shaved his law-polished fa down to bone and steel, and what remained was a man who no longer sought justice in courtrooms, but in blood and fire. He would dismantle the Montclairs piece by piece. He would show them what it meant to bleed. The first move was small. Marcus began with the runners, the lowest tier of the family, the ones tasked with collecting debts and keeping the streets afraid. He shadowed them, learning routes, memorizing patterns. Weeks of careful observation culminated in silence and sudden violence. One night, a debt collector named Carlo Russo didn't return from his rounds. The next morning, his body was found in an abandoned warehouse, his hands shattered, his mouth sewn shut. The message was clear: silence breeds silence. The Montclairs were rattled but not yet alarmed. Men like Carlo were expendable. But Marcus was patient. He didn't want just death, he wanted fear to spread like infection. His second strike hit closer. He went after Vincent Marlowe, a lieutenant who managed the Montclair's smuggling docks. Vincent was careful, always surrounded by guards, but Marcus had something Vincent didn't: nothing left to lose. A fire erupted at Pier 17 one storm-choked night. Cargo ships burned, crates of weapons sank into the Blackwater, and Vincent was found hanging from a crane hook, his chest carved with a crown split down the middle. The Montclairs understood the symbol: the hollow crown. A throne emptied, a power crumbling from within. As the weeks unfolded, Marcus became more than a man, he became a specter. Whispers of the hollow crown haunted the Montclairs. Their men turned on one another, paranoia digging claws into their ranks. But Marcus' war wasn't without cost. Each strike left him more detached from who he once was. His sister's smile, once a guiding light, became harder to remember. In its place was the heat of violence, the satisfaction of vengeance carried out. And then came Adrian Cross, the man Marcus had once defended. The man who had walked free while Evelyn was silenced. Adrian was no mere associate, he was the Montclair's key to legitimacy. Through his businesses, they washed their blood-stained profits, building empires out of ruined lives. Marcus knew, to destroy the Montclairs, Adrian had to fall. He began infiltrating Adrian's world, using false identities, blackmail, and fear. He turned Adrian's allies against him, exposing affairs, debts, and hidden betrayals. Slowly, Adrian's empire cracked. His business partners abandoned him. Politicians distanced themselves. The Montclairs began questioning whether Adrian was an asset or a liability. And then Marcus struck. Adrian was cornered in his glass-walled penthouse, the city glittering below like a kingdom he no longer ruled. Marcus stepped from the shadows, wearing a mask painted with a hollow crown. "You defended me once," Adrian sneered, though fear shook his voice. "Do you know what happens if you kill me?" "I don't defend men like you anymore," Marcus said. "I bury them." The penthouse window shattered with the sound of their struggle. Blood-painted marble floors, glass crunched beneath boots. When it ended, Adrian was sprawled beneath the city lights, his hollow crown carved into his chest like the others. The Montclairs erupted in chaos. Without Adrian's money, their power wavered. Without their lieutenants, their structure collapsed. Marcus kept striking, dragging the syndicate into the light, tearing their empire apart until the once feared family was nothing more than whispers and corpses. But victory came at a cost. The police called him a terrorist. The press dubbed him a vigilante. To Harrowgate's people, he was a myth, a shadow that punished the wicked. Yet Marcus knew the truth. He had become the very thing he once despised. Violence had consumed him. Justice had rotted into vengeance. And when the Montclairs were finally ashes, when their hollow crown lay broken, Marcus stood alone in the city he had tried to save. The shadows still clung to Harrowgate. And now they clung to him.